Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. It's been forever. Life was happening as always, but I'm back again. I definitely did find my YouTube password again, so don't worry, stick around. I shall be publishing more content, and do subscribe if you're not subscribed. Anyway, today I thought I'll just talk about things that I learned in my early 20s. I'm no longer in my early 20s. I'm now, okay, a woman never says the age. Just know that I'm now way past my early 20s. So now today I decided I'm going to talk about things that I learned in my early 20s and realizations that I had in my early 20s. To be honest, my early 20s was just such a roller coaster of emotions. There were times when I learned some hard lessons. Sometimes I had some regrets. Sometimes I celebrated so many victories. Sometimes I cried the good tears, the bad tears. And I just feel like someone could really learn from that. Maybe you're probably in your early 20s, or maybe you're probably my age and you're just curious to know what I had to realize or what I had to learn by myself. So without wasting much time, let's get right into the video. So the first point is I wish I'd learned other things outside of my accounting career. So for me, for the most part, in my early 20s, when I was getting my degree or doing my articles, to be honest, the only thing that mattered to me was making sure that I get my grades up and I'm passing and proceeding to the next level. I never really wanted to waste much time learning other things outside of accounting, and to be honest, I wish I had done so. I wish maybe I had looked for mentors to maybe learn a new skill that's way different from the career that I had. And now I'm starting to learn other new things, but I wish I had done it earlier. So I would just say, if you are doing whatever degree you're doing, give yourself time to also learn other things, pursue other interests. You will definitely thank yourself later, because the thing that you have is time. You have time to learn everything, and everything is figure outable. You can Google it, you can find it on YouTube, or you can take a course. So I wish I had learned more. So the second point is I got to realize that you are not supposed to attain certain goals by a certain timeline. So when I was 22, I remember I had like a list of like, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 10 goals that I had that I wanted to achieve by the age of 25. But when I got to 25, I had maybe ticked off like 2 or 3 of those goals, and it just started to make me feel like maybe I'm not really progressing in life. But one thing I now had to realize and learn is certain things are not always within our control, and you shouldn't force yourself to have like a timeline of saying, I want to get married by this age, I want to have my first baby, I want to have my first job by this age, I want to have my first big business by this age. It just puts so much pressure, and that you forget to appreciate and be grateful for the things that you have in your life. So I'm still learning that, and I've also gotten to learn that it will just make everyone else's life better if you just ditch the timeline and just forget about it. Of course, you should set the goals. What's more important is who you become in the process of you trying to attain those goals that matters. And the third point, or the third lesson, is fail early and often. Time is your best asset. So one thing you have to realize is in your early 20s, you don't have a lot of experience, and you don't have probably a lot of resources and big ideas, but one thing that you have is time. So don't be afraid to take any big risks, because you still have time to correct and rectify whatever mistakes happen, or you can even still learn from those mistakes. So I would say embrace failure, embrace taking big risks. I wish I had done this like a lot more when I was still younger, but for me, I never really wanted to do things that didn't quite have that much guarantee that I was going to succeed at. So I would say, if you're in your early 20s, embrace failure, embrace trying out new things, because time is what you have. And one thing that I can tell you is success is not final, and failure is also not so fatal. So it will shape who you become. So embrace it and take your time, learn whatever you want to do and try things out. Lesson number 4, I learned that things don't work out for a reason. Maybe it's a relationship, or maybe it's a job that you wanted. What I can tell you is rejection hurts in the moment. You're going to cry, you're going to feel like it's the end of the world. But trust me, it's not. If things just didn't work out, they didn't work out. They were not supposed to. It means that something better is still out there. You will be happy in a later stage when you finally meet, maybe if it's a person or if it's a job that you lost because you felt like that's the best job you could ever get. But what I can tell you is you'll be happy when you finally get to find the right opportunity that's meant for you. You'll be happy that those things that didn't work out, they didn't work out because they were opening up space for better people. They were opening up space for maybe a much more better job or a much more better opportunity to go to a certain school or whatever. So don't sweat it. If things didn't work out, it wasn't meant to be. And just move on with your life and know that there's still something which is better out there for you. And trust me, you'll be happy that those things didn't work out. Now, moving on to point number 5, you are going to feel lost at some point in your life. This came for me from the time, like, let's say, after graduation, you're still excited that you just got that degree. You still have the afterglow graduation. You're excited, ready to hit the ground running. You can't wait to get your first job. But then you'll be halted by some roadblocks along the way. Some people are lucky, they may not face it. You get to this point where maybe you may get the job that you have always wanted, the job you have always dreamt about. But then you get to realize that maybe that job is actually not something that you really want or something that you really care so much about. And you just start to feel so lost and you start to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm screwing up my life. Like, you can't have everything figured out. What I can tell you is everyone feels this way in their early 20s or even in their late 20s. We are all still learning. We are all just figuring life out as we go. So if you get to a point where maybe you don't get to find the job that you wanted, or maybe you are stuck in a low level job that you didn't want, or you're probably working in an industry that you didn't study for, what I can tell you is that doesn't mean that your life is a complete write-off. You can still figure things out. We are all just still learning, and you will feel lost at some point. Trust me. The transition from being a student, from being a uni student to adulthood, for me it was really rough. I felt so lost. I felt like I didn't have everything about my life together. But what I can tell you is it's very, very much normal, and we all go through it. So just take it easy on yourself. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. You will be awesome. You'll figure things out eventually. So now moving on to the next point that's somewhat related to the previous one. It's never too late to start over, and always be prepared to pivot. So there are certain things where I felt like I have spent so much time and money maybe doing a certain thing, and then I realized that maybe I don't like doing this thing. Maybe I now want to change to another thing. And I just feel like you should just be able to keep on changing and switching gears whenever you feel the need to, because it doesn't help you to be stuck in something that you don't enjoy doing. In accounting, we have this term that we call a sunk cost. If you paid for school fees to go and study for a certain degree and you invested time to study that degree, if it's done, it's done. That's now a sunk cost. The future is now no longer based on the past history. Maybe you move to a country that you probably now feel like, I don't feel too good about this country and I want to change to another country. You can still move, try another country. Maybe you will like it there. That's just one thing I'll just say. When you are still young, you don't have time to waste doing things you already know that you don't like. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Try to pivot. But what I can just tell you is whatever changes that you may make, if it's the worst mistake of your life that you would have made, it can always be reversed if it needs to be reversed. Next point, you are going to change. Now, if I tell you there's so many things that I was pretty adamant to be universal truths, there are certain things that I felt like this is the way to go. There's no other way to go because this is what I believe in. And what I can tell you is most of those things, if not half of them, I don't believe in them anymore. I've realized that, you know what, this is just crap. It doesn't work like this. And I need to change my thinking and I need to change my plan. So maybe let me just give you an example. For me, when I would pray, like, I used to be someone who would plan a lot. Maybe I still do it now. Maybe I should ask my friends if I still do it a lot. But I used to plan a lot of things about my life. My life was planned from A to Z. Like, things, I never believed that things could just happen to me just by luck. I would plan everything. I would know and research exactly what I needed to do and when, by what date. And to be honest, that's just so much pressure. I've gotten to learn and realize that when I pray or when I make plans or desire to do something, I should try to bring in God first and say, God, help me to plan, or help me to decide exactly the way I should go, and always leave so much room for different variables, because life is such a dynamic environment and things don't always happen the way that we thought they would. There's so much uncertainty, so you should always leave room to make amends to plans, change things that you would have planned, because to be honest, there are certain decisions and plans that you make when you're still young, immature, inexperienced, but you can't keep on sticking to the same plan because you made it years ago. You should now be able to embrace changes as you are also evolving and realize that things can be changed, plans can be changed, you can move in a different direction. So just accept it and move on, and know that you don't always have everything figured out from like the start to like the finish like I used to do. So I don't believe in that anymore, but maybe I should ask my friends or people who know me well if I still do it. Maybe I still do it, I don't know. Now the next point is you need to find your tribe. You need to find the friends that's relevant to the season that you are in. Just because you're friends with someone maybe in college or in high school or even in creche when you are still in kindergarten, it doesn't mean you have to stay friends until you're like 28 or until you're like 30. Some people are just there for a season. If they don't get to stay in your life, let them go. They've done and served their purpose. But with time, if you still have friends that you were friends with maybe in primary and you're still friends with, and they still are relevant to the season of your life, then do keep them. They are like gold, they are precious, they are amazing. Keep those friends that have stayed friends forever. Some people are meant to go, and you are probably also meant to be in other people's lives just for a season and not forever. So accept that some friendships will die down. Now the next point, or the next realization that I've heard, is your parents are people too, and they will make mistakes, and do forgive them. And in addition to that, about parents, do consult with them. They are your biggest cheerleader, and trust me, they give the best advice. Now to speak to the first point, the most disillusioning realization that I had was parents don't know everything. The way you viewed them maybe as a child, as a little child, you always felt like, oh, my mom can do everything, my dad can do everything, my dad can protect me from everything. But that's not the case. They are also individuals just like everyone else. They're also learning. They are also doing their best. They are also flawed individuals who are just trying to do the best that they can by you. So get to a point, I guess the first duty of adulthood is getting to a point of acknowledging and realizing that your parents may have made mistakes maybe in your childhood that you felt like you were mad about for a long time. Just get to realize that you need to forgive them because they did what they felt like was best. And also, in addition to that, do get to consult them, ask them also for advice. They give the best advice. Now, when you're a teenager, you are somehow at a point where you feel like, oh, my parents are not woke enough. They are old. What could they tell me? What do they know? But trust me, for me, I can even attest to the fact that some of the best advice I've gotten was from my mom or from my dad. Things that I was probably even afraid to even speak to them about, they've actually probably given me the best advice that probably some of my friends my age wouldn't give. So there are so many situations and so many discussions that I now sort of like try to engage in, discussions about difficult topics that I try to engage with my parents here and there, just to pick their brain and also just get all of the wisdom and knowledge that they can give and pass on to me, because I've realized that, you know what, they are not out to get me. They are my biggest supporters. They are my biggest cheerleaders. You don't have to listen to everything they say 100%, because sometimes they just want to play things safe. but do consider whatever they would have told you in whatever decision making that you'll be doing. Now, point number 11, I borrowed this one from my brother, who also borrowed it from a cousin. Stop basking in past glory. So what this simply means is, because you made it in the past, it doesn't simply mean that you make it now. You can't keep relying on your past glories. Let's say now you're in uni and you're like, oh, I was a straight A student in high school. I got OAs in my A level. I got OAs in my O levels. So I don't really need to study much in uni because you know what? I'm really that good. But trust me, it doesn't work like that. Because you did well in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sit on your hands and not work hard to achieve whatever you want. And last point that I would tell myself if I was younger is learn to love yourself. Trust me, you are your best advocate. You should learn to love yourself fully. Love yourself every day. Love the person that you are becoming. If you don't feel good about whatever you are doing or who you are becoming, try to change it, but always don't be so difficult and so mean on yourself. So yeah, that's the last lesson. I guess this marks the end of the video. So if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe and share this video with other people that you want to give the same advice, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers and bye.